Hey, good morning. Let's get right into it because my predictions are coming to fruition. So I want to start out and tell you exactly what my strategy is and how I'm going to play today. Usually I talk about what's going on in the market, where the SPY could go, rejection, support. Here's what I'm planning to do today, okay? First thing I'm doing is I say to myself, okay, I check the dark pool levels, ghost zone from like 401 all the way to 406. So what am I planning on happening? We get that first dip. I'm planning going heavy into SPY calls, letting it rip higher, securing profit because I'm going heavy. I don't need to be in it that long. Or vice versa, we see rejection at 402.50, which is the other thing. We pump right into the open. We don't even dip. Then I'm going to say, you know what? I'm waiting for the top because I think if we have a light volume day, which we've been seeing, and we have PCE coming out tomorrow, that we're going to either dip and rip, or we're going to rip, and then all of a sudden we're going to get light volume, and we're just going to drop like 4 or 5 points like that off some type of fishy news or something to that extent. Maybe the Fed speaks. So those are my two strategies today. I haven't been trading the past 2 trading days because I've been taking care of someone. We had doctor's appointments. When you don't have time to focus and you can't sit and watch the 1 minute, the 3 minute, the 5 minute, and make sure that your strategies come to fruition, you shouldn't trade. It's so much easier being on the sidelines going, wow, I almost made a bad trade there, almost made a bad trade. And I made 2 bad trades this week. And one of my bad trades was the market's ripping higher. I was in snap puts. Snap dropped 7% on like Tuesday. I got stop lost on Monday. So shit happens. I wasn't focused this week because I have a lot going on. Besides, we're taking care of a sick person. I have to pick up my kids and shit like that. So I have real life responsibilities. With that said, I am here to help you. So my strategy, again, let's just repeat it. I'm either looking for a dip and rip strategy because there's a ghost zone. Ghost zone, what the hell is a ghost zone? Ghost zone means the supply and demand between 2 points in the market, specifically between 401 and like 406.80 is a ghost zone. There's not much supply or demand, meaning if the market decides to rip higher, and I mentioned this to Discord yesterday, there's a good chance it's going to the 407 level before it maybe even finds some rejection. It could go higher. So don't be like 407. He said it was going to reject. That asshole. It's not rejecting. It's going a little higher. It could go higher because understand if we go from 401 all the way to 407, you're talking about 6 points, 1.5%. So that's my strategy today. We're going to dip and rip. Or if I miss the rip and we're on light volume, and light volume, I've explained it to Discord and I'll explain it again. Light volume is by 10 a.m. If you're seeing under 11 million on the SPY, that's light volume. By 11 a.m., if you're not seeing like 38 and up volume, that is light volume. If you're only like 18, 16, 15, extremely light volume. What does that mean? It means the market could drop or rip. All it takes are a couple of big trades to push the markets and the algorithms take over. So when you're saying, well, how can he predict the market to rip higher and then all of a sudden drop 3, 4, 5 points? Because the algorithms are trading 90% of trades that we see as retail traders. Understand 50% of them are dark pool trades. So we don't even know unless you're following dark pool. The only way to follow dark pool is you could be on Discord, or you can follow and get a delayed dark pool feed, probably from Twitter. There's probably a dark pool account. With that said, let's bring up the SPY so I can show you what I'm looking at and the points I'm looking at. Let me just make sure I add it to the stream. Boom, there it is. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. So SPY, boom. Now, if we go back, we're only on the 1 hour here, but here's what we go back. So I want to just show you guys what I'm seeing here. When I go back to the 3 hour, okay, hopefully you guys are seeing the same thing as me. First of all, rejection is where? Rejection originally is what, around 407. So up right at this top point right here on here. So when I say that we could technically ghost zone just fade up to 407, here's why it makes sense. If you look at the volume the past few days, cumulative, just look at the volume. It's not there at all. There is absolutely no volume in the market. And when you go to the larger spikes or the larger volume days, well, they were actually outflow days. You'd have to go all the way back to Thursday of March 23rd, where we had a good inflow day. Sorry, the Friday the 24th. And that was after 2 huge selling days, right? Where the market showed great support at 392. So we pushed up because people were like, okay, I saw support at 392. I can buy in this market. But as we get into these zones up here, again, volume is so light, but that is what makes my strategy today. Again, my strategy today is that we're either going to dip and rip higher, or we're going to go higher. And as soon as I see rejection, and I don't know if it's at that 407 mark, if it's at that 407 mark, it's going to take to the afternoon to get there. It's not going to rip there in the morning. But if we get 405, something like that, and I see rejection on the 1 minute, the 3 minute, then I'm going to say, you know what? I can start entering puts. I'll take that 15 or 20 minute, swing where we all of a sudden drop 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. So that's my strategy for today. Thank you all for joining me. If you like what I'm doing, please give a thumbs up. I appreciate you guys watching. Again, I'm here to help you. So if you have questions, please ask questions on the side. I'll show you where. Ask questions. You can ask right there. But we can talk about any of your stocks that you want to look at. I mentioned a stock yesterday in the video. I mentioned that I thought, and this is weeks ago, I typed this out, I could go from 235 all the way to 275. It's at that 275 mark. So again, me and the chip sector and recession looming later in this year. And again, the numbers, even though the market's going higher, and I'll explain why the market can continue to go higher, we're still going to enter recession, whether people want to admit it or not. And they'll be talking about it, and they'll probably be talking about it in late summer, early August, maybe September. It'll be Q3. We'll be talking about that we're in recession. How long have we been in recession? How long is the recession going to last? Well, recessions tend to last from 8 to 18 months. So the fact that we could be actually entered into a recession by, like, even now, I've heard some people say this could be the start and we could go out 8 to 18 months. So people won't start talking about it for a couple of months, but you're hearing it here first. So at least when we go into recession, you'll be like, hey, man, that dude told me that we were going in recession. Yeah, I am. All right. So let's talk about what other things I wanted to mention. Entering or exiting yesterday. Okay. Key level on the SPY. Now I mentioned the bull case scenario. The bear case scenario, since I mentioned the bull case scenario was 407, we mentioned the bear case scenario is we rip out of the gate, we hit that 402.50, and then we retract. And there's 2 days of selling. It would have to be 2 days. So it'd have to be Thursday and Friday. And it happens when people think, oh, the market's unstoppable, it's just going to rip higher. So I have two scenarios. The first scenario is, we're seeing that 407 number before we reject, which takes us a whole 1.5 higher on the SPY, or 1.5% higher. The other one takes us 1.5% lower. We hit that 402.50. We struggle there. Then we're back to the 400 level. If we struggle at the 400 level, then we're going to drop down. If we drop down, I'm going to say that 395 by, either today, tomorrow is in the cards. The same way I'm saying 407 bull case scenario today or tomorrow is in the cards. So I'm going to play the market accordingly. I'm going to look at volume. I'm going to look at the 1 minute, the 3 minute, and then I'm going to get into a trade. And then I'm going to decide what a good profit margin is. Again, if I'm playing with $10,000 and then I'm saying I can make 60%, $6,000 would be a killer day. Just recap one of my stories or lessons from yesterday, the day before. I remember so many trading days where I was up 6,000 my first trade, 7,500 my second trade, 8,500 my third trade. Why the hell was I even entering a fourth trade? Because I was killing it. I had a false sense of confidence. In my fourth trade, I would drop 24,000. So I would take the 8 and the 7, the 15 I was up, and another 3 that I was up 18. And from being up 18 in one single trading day, I would be down 6. So over trading is one of the hardest things to overachieve. So I would rather be patient these days. When I talk to everybody about being patient, okay, so on SPY level, 395.66, there was 2.6 billion. So whereas support was 392 the other day, if we do drop down, I'm looking for support right at the 395. And I think there were dark pull trades at 395.62, 395.63, and now 395.66. So that's definitely going to be a line that I'm looking for. If we have a light volume day, if we see that significant drop, which I spoke about bear case scenario, then I'm looking at 395.66, and I do plus or minus 20 or 30 cents. So we can say 395.50 or 396. Since we're on the higher level, I would just say 396. So I'm looking for support right at the 396 level. Oh, here's something interesting. Over the last 2 weeks, Saudi Arabia is considering accepting the Chinese yuan for oil sales. Okay, so Chinese currency, Saudi Arabia, Thai, France, and China complete their first energy LNG trade using yuan. Okay, so they're trading in the Chinese currency. Russia considers using Chinese yuan as a reserve currency. Most people use gold. Russia's considering the Chinese yuan. Saudi Arabia partners with China to build a refinery for 83.7 billion Chinese yuan, which is 12.12 billion US dollars. But still, that's a large size investment. Yes, we send billions of dollars to Ukraine, and they deserve it to fight Russia. But that's a separate story. China and Brazil agree to use the Chinese yuan in cross-border transactions. Okay, so you keep hearing me repeat things about the Chinese yuan. The percentage of global reserves in US dollars, and everybody used to buy US treasuries, US dollars. It's down from 72% in 1999 to 59% now. What is that telling me? It's telling me the US dollar's dominance worldwide is obviously decreasing. So that was a good one. Here's the story. NASDAQ. When I say nothing can go up continuously, NASDAQ 100 rallies 2% yesterday, and it's at its highest close since August. So understand, the VIX is under 20. The markets are ripping higher. How long can the markets continue to rip higher? Well, I'm going to tell you. PCE coming out tomorrow. The number's at 8:30, and please join me tomorrow morning. Going to be extremely, extremely important. If we come in hot, then that says to the Fed, shit, you might have to raise rates again in May. I know you're thinking about cuts at the end of the year, and the Fed will say, we're not thinking about cuts. The only people that think we're thinking about cuts is the market, and the market has priced in 4 cuts, which is ridiculous. But again, if the market has priced it in and I'm trading the market, I guess I should believe the market is going higher. See, that was my problem. I know the Fed is not going to cut rates this year. And you could snapshot this because they're not going to cut rates this year. And if they do, it's because the economy is much better, which I don't see because we're going to be going into recession, which would mean they should cut rates going into recession. But again, it's just inflation versus recession. If inflation is the real, key that they're worried about, then they shouldn't cut rates. But the market is telling me they're cutting rates 4 times. And that's crazy. It's crazy. Market closed yesterday on a 1.2 billion order to buy. So no doubt it was going to gap higher, which is why I mentioned Discord. We easily could see 406 tomorrow being today. So I'm still going to stick with that premise. I saw some Hasbro puts coming across the wire. I mentioned Discord. Why am I telling you guys this? Because Hasbro was 51.85 when I saw the puts come across. It was actually a little even cheaper. Now it's $52 pre-market. So I might actually look to enter that trade for one of my accounts. Saudi Arabia has joined China-led security bloc alliance with China, Russia, India, Pakistan, and others. They technically joined as a dialogue partner like a year or 2 ago. Or maybe it was a year ago, but now they're a full-on partner. So that's pretty crazy. The GEX levels on the SPY tell me to be bullish. So again, I hate being bullish because it doesn't make sense, but I don't want to fight the market. So let's get to a couple questions. Let's remove that from the stream. Let's stop sharing. Let's get on Discord so we can add some shit here. Discord, boom. So again, anybody that missed it and wasn't here in the beginning, I have 2 strategies today. My bullish strategy is I'm looking for any kind of dip, and I think the market could easily rip higher to 407. So if I see a dip in the market, I'm going to get into 0 days till expiration calls and let the market rip higher. Or if I see the market reject and we get there pretty soon, 402.50, which is a key number in the dark pool. And again, there's a ghost zone above. But if I see it reject, and I see some stocks that I'd use as trackers going down, and I say, okay, well, the market's going to fall. And then when it gets to the 400 level, it's going to fall. So puts the other option again. So I have one bearish strategy, one bullish strategy. I'm going to follow one of those strategies today. I'm not sure which one unless I see how the first market opens and where the volume is. You need to understand that before you just decide you're going to be bullish or bearish. Okay. With that said, I wanted to answer the question on Baba because when Alibaba was $97 and ripping off the chain the other day, I said the call options were just tearing in. The $100 calls that expired this week were just being bought up and bought up and bought up. So I thought 100 was in the cards for Alibaba. Then I said at 100, I really wanted to short it. I wanted to buy puts, and it opened up down yesterday. I would have secured profit. But again, I'm running against the tide doing that. So net flow on Alibaba seems bullish. Let's pull it up. Let's take a quick look at that. Did I add this to the stream? Let's do that. Okay, perfect. So I'll go on Discord. I will look at the SPY real quick. I know we're talking about Alibaba, but here's the level 399.17. It actually went down a little, which is bullish for the market. Again, you're only seeing 401.36, which is a small dark pool level. We're probably past that this morning, aren't we? Where are we sitting? Almost 404 this morning, 403.89. So we're probably going to dip and then we'll probably rip. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. So I would look at the net flow. Should I type in the caps? Net flow, Baba. I would look at the algo flow for Baba, and I would look at the flow sum. For Baba. Let's see if there's all stuff with that. All right, there's not enough information there. All right, so the algos are telling you, okay, it's falling in line. I would need to see the algos tell me the price should be higher for me to get bullish. Again, if these people weren't Alibaba, they took profit. Half of them took profit as soon as it bounced. The smarter half said, no, that was the initial bounce. It's going higher, and took profit up here. There are probably a few that got stuck in and they pushed it even higher up here. But I would not be in Alibaba after it went up 14%. I want to get into stock before it makes a move. I mean, we could talk about DraftKings, okay? DraftKings went up, 8-9% yesterday. It's up 1% pre-market. Would I get involved with DraftKings? No. I was waiting for that big spike. So again, I'm on sidelines. I'd rather play market direction, and I'd rather play intraday market direction, because what we haven't seen is the market has no reason to rip higher. If it ripped higher, 6 points higher on great volume, 150 million, I would be so bullish. And the only reason to be bullish is, one of the reasons to be bullish is we just crossed over the 200-day moving average, which is generally a bull case scenario. But again, I so think that the market is just going to rip on no volume today and then all of a sudden drop. Now, when I say drop, if it rips to 405 by 10:30 a.m. and it's 405.50 and it goes from 405.50 back to 401.35 where we closed at yesterday, technically the market's just flat. It's not a huge drop. But again, I happen to think that whatever gains you see on small volume, someone's going to take that shit away really quick. That's just my feeling there. Oh, yeah, hit that like. Thanks, Ellie. Good to see you joining. Thoughts on Apple today? Okay, so I mentioned yesterday, one stock I stay away from when I trade is Apple. Why? My last 3 Apple trades have been losing trades. So I know Apple has my number. I don't want to trade Apple. I will look at Apple. But what did I mention yesterday or 2 days ago pre-market? They were buying gold. And I said, wait, don't buy gold. Look to silver, SLV. Well, silver was up minuscule yesterday. Could have gotten at 21.21. It's up 2% this morning. So it's probably 21.85. So again, if you're in at 21.21 and it's up to 21.85 in silver and gold, they don't move all that much supposedly. You'd make some decent returns on the options. Let's just see what the call options. Yeah, be decent. Okay, so let's look at Apple. Let's just take one quick look. Again, if the markets are moving higher and the market's going to rip, the SPY is going to rip to 406 hypothetically in a bull case scenario, or 407, then Apple's got to go. I mean, if they're buying Apple today, again, we had 3 outflow days, 3 inflow days. Apple actually went higher. Okay, that's all bullish. Okay, when you have 100 people selling and 100 people buying, but the price is going up, that's a bull case scenario. Now, if you had 200 people selling and only 100 buying and the price is going up, again, those are very aggressive 100 people. Let's see what you got, Josh. Hey, Matt, since timing this drop and I'm a bear, I've been doing heavy inverse ETFs because they don't decay like options. Thoughts? Yes, be slower with your position. That's the only thing, Josh. I would say if you tend to add to your position, knowing you're going to be right, which I used to be guilty of, and it used to work out for me 90% of the time, where I'd be like, I know this is a good position. Okay, I'm just getting a cheaper option. And then I would be correct, and the market would either drop or spike. When you're going triple inverse, SQQQ, TQQQ, just be more cautious. If you end up usually at 40 options or 30 contracts or whatever your average is, start out slower. If you normally buy in 10 contracts to start or 5 contracts to start, cut that substantially. Cut it to 1 or 2 or even 3. Now, what I love to do is, the only thing I love Robinhood for is I just add things to the watch list. So I'm like, I'm going to buy this option right now. And there are so many things that I have FOMO about where I'm like, just watch list. And then I look for my option to be off 22%, 18%. And that's when I start entering in. So there's a strategy for everybody. Instead of buying your next option, especially unless you're just crushing it lately. And I mentioned the lesson the other day that my trades on the year are 56% winners, 44% losers. I'm not crushing it. I'm beating the book. I'm beating the house. My winners yield about 72%. My losers lose a lot, 44%. Most people's losers lose like 20%. No. I like to hold on to my picks a little longer. And I suffer. I look like an idiot sometimes. People are like, why didn't he sell that as soon as he bought it? He was wrong about the position. And I did that earlier this week. I was wrong about energy, and I held on to it for a day too long, and I suffered, in a small account, which wasn't good. I suffered with that Snap small account. I was in puts. Sure, Snap was going down under $11. My goal was $10 and like 89 cents. Wait, $10.89 or was it $9.89? One of those. I don't even look at Snap anymore because I was so frustrated by it. But yeah, so your question, if you're a bear, the market's extremely bullish. It's light volume, which is tricky. It can easily push a lot higher. I would say start out slower. I would also say give yourself extra time. If you used to buy options for the SQQQ or TQQQ that expire, like today is Thursday. Let's say they expire Friday. Instead of doing that, go out till next week. I know it sucks. You're paying an extra dollar per contract or 20 or 30%, and it sucks, but you're giving yourself enough time to be correct. I can't tell you how many trades. The last trade was Carvana when I was bullish Carvana and I sold out. I bought in at 666 and it went up to like $7.90 something cents and I got out. And then Carvana popped exactly at $10. I thought it would go to $9.50. Can't take credit for 10, but it happened like 3 days after my option expired and I still took profit too soon. So buy out the extra time. That's the secret there. That way, when you over leverage yourself and you're in there with 40 contracts and you're like, okay, at least I get to next Friday. Oh, shit. I got the surprise drop I didn't think I would get on Friday because tomorrow, again, PCE numbers coming out. Market volume is light, So let's see what else we got. Will Boeing bull flag breakout next week. Thoughts? Okay. Funny because I started looking at airlines. If you're correct about Boeing, instead of playing Boeing, I would say I would rather play United Airlines, Delta Airlines. I'd want to play one of the airlines that hasn't taken off yet. And I was looking at that myself yesterday because I was like, if the market wants to remain bullish, here's the chart on United. Okay. It's got a big gap to fill to $55 where it was on March 10th. So if they're actually going to start buying airlines, this one could go from $43 to $55, $12. That's what, like 32%. Whereas if I look at Boeing, and Boeing looks like it already picked up a little. Here it is. It's easy to find. I already saw they were buying Boeing for 5 straight days. And if it were to go to that high that that other airline was on March 7th, it's going to 214. Well, we're only 3% away from there. So on United or Delta, right, we're 32% away from that March 7th high of the month for the airline. And when we look at Boeing, we're 3% away from that high. So, yeah, people could say, well, yeah, I'm more bullish Boeing than I am the airline, obviously. Well, yeah, you got to understand big institutions, big money, they want to be in the number one. So if they want to be in the airline space, they're going to Boeing. They're not going to, Virgin, Space, Delta, Love, Southwest Air, JetBlue. They're not going to anybody that has massive amounts of debt and not running there, but they're going to go to Boeing. So, yeah, interesting. Let's see what you've been buying, the actual inverse ETFs. Oh, you've been buying stock. Okay, so here's the greatest thing. I don't know if you've ever seen this episode, Josh. It's Ask Matt, episode 14. It was the 14th video I ever produced. But I was talking about you're in a bad stock. So let's say you're buying the inverse of the ETF and you're down 30 or 40%. You're in a bad stock. This goes for anybody. You're in a bad stock. They have options. Watch video Ask Matt number 14. I basically talk about selling your stock. Okay, you're taking a loss of 40% because you're down 40%. You're going into the option. You're going in flat because you haven't bought it yet. In fact, you're waiting for a dip or a rip to get in. So you're probably going to make 4 or 5% right off the bat. And then you're giving yourself at least a couple of months, 2-3 months, enough time to be correct, which you hopefully won't need. So when that ETF reverses and your stock would finally be flat or zero where you were down 40%, let's just say it reverses 20%. You're still down 20% if you own stock. If it reverses 20%, your options just covered your stock loss. So please, that's a good episode. I'll try and tweet it out or share it. But if anybody else has any questions, let me know. If not, let's look at pre-market activity real quick. I just wanted to see if the market spiked again. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw 406 pre-market, just the way they buy up this shit. Again, volume extremely light. For a volume check on the market by 10 a.m., you want to see if you see 10 million on the SPY or less, it's a light volume day. Understand big spikes and huge dips are coming. Volatility, even if it's a narrow range, you'll see like a 3-point drop or a 3-point spike, which are great for day traders, which are great if we're trading options. If you see the market up here and it's struggling and you tell yourself that spike down is coming, you get into puts and it drops 3 points like that and you've got your sell order ready, shit, you just made 130, 140%. Okay, so yeah, market's still at 404. Did we check out the dark pool level? No, let's check out the dark pool level of the SPY, which I like to do every morning. I also like to look at the top flow. TA top flow. I don't know. I usually don't do it all caps. I wonder if it's going to work. Top flow. Maybe that'll work. And then I'll look. There's the top flow. So most bullish, most bearish flows. Okay, most bearish flows. Russell. Okay, interesting. Also, the size of the bearish flows are pretty minuscule compared to the bullish flows. And, SPX we generally see as a hedge. So that could be, outdated. Micron came out. They missed top line, bottom line. It was up 1.7%. I made fun of it. It dropped red. Yesterday, it made a 2.8% gain, I think. No, a 7.19% gain. So, yeah, people are buying Micron's dip. They're buying Alibaba. Here, somebody asked me about the flow on that one. Tesla's one of the most bullish. NVIDIA, which I think NVIDIA, before it sees 300, or maybe it sees 300, then it drops substantially. But again, I have this vision where NVIDIA is under 250 again. So I know NVIDIA is probably, I mean, it's probably ripping. Did it rip yesterday? Where's NVIDIA? Let's just take a look at that one. And then we'll look at the dark pool levels. Alibaba, yeah, it's up 1% pre-market, whereas Baidu is down 2.5% pre-market. NVIDIA up another 1%. It was up 2% yesterday. Again, it looks like it's going back to its 275. I hate fighting the market trend, but I want to be in NVIDIA puts. And I don't know if I get started at 275 or 276. Maybe I buy one contract, hold on to it for 3 days. I'm going out 2 months. I'm giving myself more than enough time. Intel, extremely bullish. Remember when Intel was riding up to what? $31, and I was like, this one could be like 34. It could also drop down to 17. Well, it dropped, it consolidated. Intel sold off to like 26, 27. Then they bought it back. It's already at 31. You're talking about like an 18% move in literally 2 days. Okay, so let's look at the dark pool of the SPY, and that way we have our levels for today. DP levels. Damn it, all caps again. It never works when I do all cap. DP levels, SPY. Here we go. All right, let's blow it up. Let's make sure you guys can see this. Oh, thank God I wasn't just talking to myself. I do that sometimes. All right, so dark pool level on the SPY. Okay, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go to a secondary source because all we're seeing is 401.36. We're way past that. That's where we closed yesterday. So somebody could say, hey, shit, we closed at 401.35. That's a dark pool level. So it doesn't, it makes a lot of sense that we close that level. With that said, what would I do? I would go to the chart, the trading view chart. So let's pull that up. All right, trading view, share it. Let me make sure you guys can see this with me. I got to add it. Boom. Let's get rid of that ad, which they pop up sometimes. Okay, right. So I go to the 3-hour chart. Why do I need to go to the 3-hour? When you look at a 5-minute chart, all you can see is up. You can't even see pre-market. So then you go, okay, well, what about a 1-hour chart? What can I see from the 1-hour chart? When's that go back to? Okay, it goes back to March 6th, right? 1-hour chart. We're still at the top of the range. We're sitting at 404 pre-market. We only saw 404 reject March 7th, which was like, hey, when I remember I just pointed out the airline highs, United Airlines high, March 7th, Boeing's high of $214, March 7th. So we can't really use even the 1-hour. It doesn't give us enough data. So I go to the 2-hour. I'm like, okay, we're still towards the top. We can't really see more than just a little peak because you got to know where it could possibly reject. Okay, it's a 3-hour. Still, I've got other stuff in here in the picture. All right, 4 hours. So now we're saying, all right, we're 404. Here we are. So where last time we see that rejection, we saw good volume reject 404 all the way down to 385. Then we bounced. They called the market bottom. We saw the bottom 392 last week. So again, we're in one of those pushes higher. Volume's extremely light. Where can it push to? Well, we break this level, then you're going to see the next level higher is really in the range of 407, which I said possibly is your next rejection. 407, here it is again. I look at two different areas. I'm looking right here. I'm looking here we took off. I'm looking right around here, 406, 407, right? So these are all these key spots. And then I'm saying if 407 pushes higher because we go in a bull run for 2 weeks, which is a possibility, you're seeing rejection right here, 414. So, I mean, I would definitely be thinking, like, if we get pushing higher, I've got to have my thought process in place. Like, shit, we're pushing 407. If we see rejection, we're going back down. If they want to push the market higher all next week, can we get 1% every day? Where would that put us? Oh, 414, 415. That's definitely a rejection area. So, again, tread lightly if you're fading the market, if you're going against the market, or have a game plan. The game plan is nothing goes straight up, straight down. So if the market wants to spike out of the gate and I finally see some rejection, and it's got to reject once, twice, 3 times, and I have to see some good volume. But if I see rejection 3 times, whether it's 404, 405, 407, 406, 80, if I see it reject 3 times there like that, then I'm going to say, okay, I'm good for puts. And depending on the time, if we're 11:30 a.m., we've rejected the top of the market 3 times, then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go 0 days till expiration puts. If it's like 2 p.m., then no, I'm not going to go 0 days, even though I hope to be right in the last 2 hours of trading. With that said, heading over to Discord. If anybody has any questions, please join me. Let's just see if Romeo is going to be live. I might as well give everybody the 411. He was live yesterday at 9:15. He crushed it again. I checked in. So let's just see. Live stream chat. Does he saying he's going live today? Let's see. Hope you feel better. No live stream today. Not feeling too well. We'll try later on. So there's a chance you get a live stream later today. If not, I'll be giving market updates. I'll do the next drop at 9 a.m. pre-market, which is a couple minutes for Discord. about 11:15, 1:15. We'll talk about market direction. Again, we spoke about my strategy. If you missed it, you can either watch the beginning of the video or follow me to Discord, and I'll see everybody later.